Nothing like a hard day in the saddle.
Whoa! Easy there, big fella. Somebody once told me that, Frank, you're going into your second childhood. And my answer to that was, I ain't never left the first one yet. Oh, I'm just in here. Good boy. I was just in here goofing around today, having fun. This is my, I guess you'd call it studio. It's a spare bedroom I've got that I made a blank screen for so that when I get the opportunity to make a submission for a movie or television show or commercial, whatever, I can sit up in front of this and shoot an on-camera audition. The casting directors in LA always want you to shoot in front of a blank screen like that, so there's no distractions. They don't want any background, just a blank, even colored screen like that. So that's what I'm doing here today, just having fun and goofing around.
You know, this past Thanksgiving, I decided to take a trip to Colorado and see my daughter Colin, who lives in Fort Collins, which is where I used to live. Anyway, it's about a 1,000-mile trip, and I can't drive it all in one session anymore, so I break it up in 2 days. And the first leg of the trip, I stopped in Trinidad, Colorado, and spent the night. Now, the next morning I got up, and I got to thinking, you know, I'm not all that far from La Junta, Colorado, which is where Bent's Fort is, and that's where we shot CHISOLMS. It was a miniseries, starred Robert Preston and Rosemary Harris, and I had a recurring role in it as McVitie. That was my character's name. He was a troublemaker on the wagon train. Now, hold it, I know what you're thinking. You're wondering if that feller is really Frank Noel. Well, you have to remember, we shot that series about 40 years ago, and time has a way of changing the way we look and sound. So to answer that question, yes, that is me, or was me, or whatever. Yeah, that's me. But anyway, getting back to that morning, I had made previous arrangements with my daughter, so I wasn't in any big hurry. I told her I wouldn't be at her place probably until late afternoon or early evening. And I got up that morning and I was feeling very nostalgic, and I thought, what the heck? So I put my stuff in my car and I drove on over to La Junta. Now once I got there, I took a quick pass by the motel where the production company had put us all up. And then I proceeded on out to the fort. Now upon arrival, I wasn't disappointed at all. She hadn't changed one iota. There she stood in all her frontier grandeur, like a castle on the plains. This old fort with 4-foot thick adobe walls. It was absolutely gorgeous. There was the fort that production company had made arrangements to use as a location for CHISOLMS. Now, Bent's Fort is actually a historical fort, originally built in 1833. It sits on government land and is maintained and operated by the U.S. Park Service. It's located in southeastern Colorado, about 5 miles outside of La Junta. It's a beautiful place located right along the Santa Fe Trail next to the Arkansas River. Yeah, now, I know. A lot of you folks are going to say, that dummy doesn't even know how to pronounce the name of that river. Well, you see, I'm from Kansas. And growing up in Wichita, me and my friends used to play up and down that river all the time. And we never called it the Arkansas. we always called it the Arkansas River, which is the way it's spelled. Arkansas. But you pronounce it the way you want to, and we'll pronounce it the way we do. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to the fort. Now, it was originally constructed by William and Charles Bent, along with their partner, Saran St. Vrain. It was not a military fort. It was built during the fur trade era and was a fur trading center. If you had buffalo robes or furs and was friendly, you were welcomed into the fort. Their trade came mostly with the Cheyenne and Arapaho Plains Indians. However, they didn't care what color your skin was or where you came from. If you had furs or robes, that was their business. Also, being situated along the Santa Fe Trail, which was like a superhighway in those days, the old fort stayed very busy. If you're wondering what that thing in the middle of the courtyard is, it's a beaver pelt press. They could stack pelts on top of one another and put pressure on them and then bale them up, which was a much more efficient way to transport them to market. When I was working on CHISOLMS, they had us all, the cast and crew, staying at a motel on the outskirts of La Junta, which was about, 15, 20 minutes to Bent's Fort. Now, usually when you're on location like that, the production company will set up a production office somewhere in a room, somewhere close to the lobby. And that way, business gets done as usual as far as schedules and all that stuff. And they will print out a call sheet, and they'll put the call sheet either on the door or on an easel in the lobby, and that way the actors and the crew and all that can stop by and check out the call sheet and see whether you're supposed to work the next day or not. Well, that particular day, we had been shooting, and we worked until about 8:30, almost 9 o'clock by the time I got back to the motel. And so some friends of mine and I, Les Lanham and Delta Burke, went and had dinner. Well, after dinner, we came back to the motel, and I stopped by the production office to take a look at the call sheet to see if I would have to work. Now, I didn't think I'd have to work the next day because we got in late, and production doesn't generally like to do what they call a forced call. The way the union works on movies is they got to give you so many hours off in between days, and otherwise they have to pay you a penalty, and that's golden time, and they generally don't like to do that. But they will on occasion, and this particular time they did with me because I didn't get in till 9 o'clock, and when I looked at the call sheet, sure enough, there was McVitie, 4 a.m. in the morning, and I thought, what in the world are we going to be doing shooting at 4 a.m. in the morning? Well, I wasn't going to question it. I mean, I didn't mind the forced call. I can use the money. So anyway, I rolled out of bed about 3:30 in the morning and made my way over to the lobby. And sure enough, there was a driver there, and he picked me up, put me in a van, and away we went out to Bent's Fort. When I get there, there's a production assistant who grabs me and hustles me over to makeup. Now, he didn't have to take me to wardrobe because I had worn my wardrobe home from the previous day. So I get into makeup, and they finish up with me, and right away the production assistant grabs me and hustles me over to where the camera was inside the fort. And everybody's around the camera, and the director says, now here's the first shot. He says, I want to show hustle and bustle. He says, I want to show anxiety and fear that the fort is going to be attacked by Indians. He says, I want everybody busy. I want people running up and down these stairs. I want chaos. And so for the first 2 hours in the morning, I'm running up and down these stairs. Finally, later on, they moved the camera, and we're up on top of the parapet looking over the wall. And then I figured out why they wanted us there at 4 a.m. in the morning. Out there behind the fort, they had all these Indians. They had 500 Indians in full battle regalia, sitting on their ponies, just sitting there looking at the fort. And that's what we were hustling and bustling around, worried about whether we were going to be attacked by the Indians. So it was a gorgeous sight to see. They had imported Indians from everywhere. They had Indians from Colorado, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota. They even had Indians from Washington. They had all these different tribes. They had Cheyenne, they had Lakota, They had crow. They had Indians imported from everywhere and every tribe. So, I mean, it was wonderful. It was beautiful. I just wished I'd have had a camera that I could have taken pictures to see all those Indians out there. As the sun came up and was shining on them, it was a gorgeous sight to behold. I sure miss working on big productions like that. It was a lot of fun. You know, back when we shot CHISOLMS, the technology hadn't been invented yet for CGI. Back then, when they needed 500 Indians, they had to go get 500 Indians. But today, they wouldn't have to do that. They could just build them in a computer program, and the actors would just have to look out over the wall and imagine that there's 500 Indians out there. But back then, we didn't have to do that, and I think it was a lot more fun, having that many people and that many horses and having the wardrobe and all that. It was a lot more expensive, but it was more, I don't know, romantic, exciting, whatever adjective you want to use to describe it. I liked it a lot better. Absolutely, it's a lot cheaper. I mean, they don't have to hire all those people and rent all those horses and outfit them with guns and horses and all that stuff. So, yeah, it is cheaper, but I don't know. It's just not the same.